It was my nephew's birthday today.
You sent him
I
some
had to
weed.
send. Yeah, right. I had to figure out. I never know what to buy for little kids. Have you ever had to buy a gift for a little kid? I don't even know what kids want, man.
Makeup, nowadays.
I guess.
Even if it's a boy.
Yeah.
I got some makeup for my niece. She's like 12. So I went over her house. I try to see what they play with a lot.
Yeah.
That's the best way. I don't ever want to send money because then they'll go buy cigarettes or something.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. It doesn't feel right, I guess. Although I guess, you're an uncle or something, so you're supposed to just send money.
How old?
My nephew's 9.
9.
It's a boy. I mean, like, I've been like the last few years. I mean, keep buying them Legos, and it's like, I don't know, how long are kids playing with Legos?
That's a thing of the past.
Well, the thing is, he keeps like, I don't know. Last year he was still into Legos, but in my head, it's like I remember being that age, and it's like you really make jumps pretty quick. Yeah. Where it's like you're into Legos, and then 1 week it's like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, you're making your own wine.
Yeah, right. Legos are out. I ended up getting him a harmonica.
Oh man!
I figure, I don't know,
something to put in the drawer,
something to screw around with.
Yeah, you think I'll play it?
I don't know.
Is everybody musically inclined in your family?
Not really, but I figure, I don't know. You want something to mess around? I feel like everybody in my family ends up getting like educational gifts just because they feel like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's have fun doing math kind of gifts. And it's like, that shit sucks.
I know they don't.
Where it's like, here's some blocks that add up to 10, and it's like, no, I don't want. I mean, like, I get why everybody thinks that they want their kids to be constantly learning, but it's like, he's in school. You get enough school learning. You don't want to. I want to be the guy who gets them something that's fun.
Bro, what games? You got a present one day and it was a math game?
Yeah, well, it's like math games, or it's like you're learning how to put this puzzle together, but it's actually teaching you about chemistry or something.
Wow.
And it's like, I don't know, my he's not like a genius. He's, I guess, pretty average, smart kid, but it's like, aren't you in school all day long? You really want to come home from school and keep learning shit?
That's the worst gift. I mean, a harmonica is a good gift because that's like a violin or a keyboard. You're going to have something for life. If he learns that, he'll be singing the blues.
Well, I figure, yeah. I mean, if he's ever really broke, that's all you got to do is get a harmonica, put a hat in front of you, play a little blues lick.
Wait, is he Asian?
Yeah.
Well, that's like your joke. There are no broke Asian people.
No homeless Asians. Yeah. But hey, once you got a harmonica, you never know. Ride the rails for a little while.
Yeah, the gifts I got were never something that I've had for me the rest of my life. It would be like, I got toys, models. I was really into models. Yeah. I guess models teach you stuff too, though.
Yeah, but even that, it feels educational, like you're trying to sneak something in on somebody.
The models, especially car models, it's like, oh, it's got 327 big block. To this day, if I see cars, I know them from my models.
Wow.
I'll be like, nah, that's a 66 Mustang. People will be like, how do you know they're identical? I'll be like, nah, if you look at this model, ages 8 to 12.
Wow, yeah.
You'll see the grill is different. Models really scale it down, like the good models.
Yeah, but it wasn't like some Hot Wheels shit. This was like real.
It was like the car models. I don't know. Have you ever seen those? Like, you had to have seen those. Big. Yeah, and you build them, and they got the engine parts and the directions.
So you got to like super glue shit together?
Yeah, you never played with? You never had those? No. Oh, bro, me and my father used to build models all the time.
Wow.
It was funny. My father's got very short temper, and he'd be freaking out over the model. Little things would mess up.
If you fuck something up, it's like you're done. They don't give you extras, right?
Well, you can always paint over it, but yeah, I guess.
But if you're doing super glue and, the carburetor has to go into the spark plugs or something.
I remember he would get so mad. Me and him would have a blast building models, but his temper, I'd be worried. I'd be like, he'd be putting his hair through. He'd be like, yep.
Well, your dad spent all day washing cars. Finally, it's like, no, this is here.
And you know what else? Well, when he was doing it, he ran the shop, so he'd be driving the new cars and painting real cars in real life.
Oh, wow.
And so when he'd put his heart in it, because he painted cars all the time, hundreds of cars. Like, he'd even paint them in the garage, in the backyards, and he was real good at it. And when he was building the models, he took it to the next level. He's like, if there was one little run, he'd be mad. He'd sand it out. He'd be like, I can't have nobody seeing this.
See, in his head, he's like, the customer's going to come back. They're going to be pissed.
Yeah.
He's like, my boss is going to be so mad.
And people would his friend used to have him paint his model. He'd be like, Don, can you spray this one for me? Dude was like 40 years old, and he didn't want to mess up the paint job. He'd have my dad do it for him. He'd bring it over.
Man. That is the perfect like old guy hobby to have.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's the kind of hobby where it's like your family is annoying you. It's like, now I'm going to go, this is my own little world right here.
And it's cheap, and you could really lay him out. I knew a guy, man, Hank, I talk about him on the podcast. Dude was good at building models. He'd take like strings and make spark plug wires, and he put carpet in them.
Jeez.
Like people take that to a whole nother level. There's car shows for models.
Yeah. Well, it's just like a model train set.
Yeah, and even these little cars, a Chevelle or something.
Wow. Did you guys have them all like displayed out?
No, we used to put them in the boxes. I don't know. We had a few out. I'd end up blowing them up on the 4th of July with fireworks. I always thought that was, you put some fireworks in them.
No respect.
Or I'd give them away. Me and my dad built this one model. We spent all this time and made it perfect, and my friend liked it. And I just gave it to him. You know, I regretted that. I was like, man, I can't believe I gave him that model.
Oh, the joy is in making the thing, right? Once
That's
you make
true.
it, it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of around.
Yeah. Yeah, the joy's in making it. Honestly, I bought a model for old time's sake. Dude, I was just like my father. I was so mad. I'm like, how do 8-year-olds do this? The glue's messing up. The paint messed up. It stinks. I'd be high off that stuff.
Yeah.
We had boxes of we built so many models that I had big shoe boxes filled with like random parts, tires.
Wow.
I'd be building them all like, oh, I got some slicks for this one.
Weren't you? I thought your family was poor.
Well, models cost like $8 or $10.
You guys weren't eating food though. You got your canned food joke.
Yeah. No, but no,
At the same time, you just had, instead of buying a can of soup, Dad just bought another Mustang model.
No. Well, it was ups and downs, you know.
Yeah.
It's all ups and downs. So sometimes, you know, I wouldn't say we were poor. Like, I've known kids that were poor.
Yeah.
But we weren't rich either. My father was a hard-working, blue-collar guy. My mom worked.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, bills, and we had a lot of stuff. We had dogs. It's hard to feed all them dogs too. We had like 5 dogs.
Wow.
4 or 5 cats, a bird, a hamster.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, in a 2-bedroom house, a ranch.
Everything's just running around all the time.
Oh my
barking.
God. Yeah, and that was just the kids.
Wonder where right? You wonder where ADD comes from.
I used to run around. I'd run around the house all day, just like nuts. I remember my grandfather would be like, every time I'd pass him, he'd punch me in the back. He'd try to slow me down. Sit down, you son of a bitch.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's where you ended up getting. I think that's where, like, I feel like that's how people develop ADD. It's just when there's just constantly shit going on around you.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you really put a kid in a quiet room with just all he's doing is playing with this model, is putting a little, gluing 2 things together, the kid's going to learn how to focus.
Yeah.
But when there's just stuff going on all the time, it's like you end up kind of scattered.
Yeah, and people always came over our house. Like, my father always took care of my mother's side of the family. There would always be like one of them that, you know, had weren't working or something happened, so they'd move in with us.
Yeah.
They'd be in her bedroom with us.
Wow.
Me and my brother, 10 and 9, our uncle's in the bedroom rolling up weed or something. Calling random girls at 3 a.m. Hey, Lisa, come on up.
Wow.
The kids are asleep. I'll talk to you on the back porch.
But did you have like a lot of like, were there people buying you toys and shit when you were little, or were you just like the kind of kid that just found stuff around and played with it?
We always had some toys, but, you know, I was like creative in ways to where I always drew. I like to draw. I used to write movie scripts back then, man.
Yeah.
Everything be spelled wrong. 7 years old, I'd write these movie scripts, and I'd make comic books. I'd draw. We'll put some pictures on the podcast. I got the pictures on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made comic books, and I used to play with change and learn little tricks and learning to click. Like, that was the stuff I got into.
It's like learning how to juggle or something.
Whistle.
Yeah.
Well, not juggle. Juggling was a little difficult.
Wow, too high class.
Yeah, I'm still trying to learn to juggle.
Yeah.
I had a guy who worked on a ship with a guy who was one of the Ringling brothers, traveled all over the world. He taught me how to juggle.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of got it, but it's like you got to take practice. I used to play with change. I just have like change, and I don't even know what I'd be doing with it. Stacking it, building. I have all these pennies, and I'd build little like walls of change, or I'd see how big I could make the walls of change.
Wow.
You know.
See, imagine like doing that kind of thing now. If you just have the afternoon off, I mean, like, that's what it's, I mean, not having a phone to mess around with. This means that like a kid growing up is just like, well, I got the next 5 hours, I got nothing to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mess around with some pennies for a long time. And a kid these days, that would never happen.
Right.
The kid has too many better options of actual stuff to do.
And I did stuff. I cut down trees for fun. I'd chop up trees with an axe. I'd work out. Like if there was a tree log, we had a tree log in the backyard. I just chopped it up in little pieces with an axe.
Wow.
You know, I spent like the whole summer doing that. I had a blast.
Rocky IV.
Oh, my friends would come over and we'd play basketball.
Yeah.
Me and my best friend, Dave, we'd play basketball. We'd invent games. Like, cause I couldn't imagine being on TikTok. We'd have games where we'd bounce the ball up real high and try to hit it with a Frisbee.
Wow.
And we'd fight in the front yard. Or remember, like, you'd sit on the porch and you'd be like, all right, I bet the next car coming up, we'd play points. I got this side. I got that side. There was be like, I lived on an intersection.
Yeah.
So you'd have 4 streets to choose from. You get to pick one.
Right.
And then it's like, I got this side. I got that side. And whatever the cooler car comes down, you win points.
Wow.
You know, and it's like, oh, man, that car was sick, man. That's 7 points. We just be making it up.
Wow.
You know?
That's so funny because like that's like a quick story, but like when you're actually that age, that was probably like 4 hours.
Oh, that's the whole day. We'd sit on the front porch.
That's just doing nothing and watching cars drive by.
We'd go play tennis.
Yeah.
We had fun, man. We did stuff.
See, could you imagine though, like if somebody back then had to figure out what to buy you? Imagine like being your uncle back then, and you had to buy little Dom a gift when he's like 8 years old. I don't even know what do you even do.
A couple of my uncles.
Because you got to figure out something the kid already doesn't already have and would actually have fun with.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I don't know.
A couple of my uncles and aunts always did have the right ones. Like the ones on my dad's side of the family really knew me.
Yeah.
I don't recall anybody from my mom's side of the family ever once buying me one gift.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
My thing too is like I'm trying to figure out what to buy for my nephew, and it's like, I mean, I want to buy something. I feel bad if I didn't buy something, but at the same time, it's like this kid doesn't need anything. That's what I think.
My brother's got so many kids, it's hard for me to remember the birthdays. It's like I'm always asking, when's that birthday? And I want to try to get them all stuff. A couple of them are real young, and I was so broke for so long. I mean, it's not an excuse. What's a gift? $3, $5?
Yeah, the harmonica was like $10.
I need to get better at just that in general.
But I always feel like when you're that age, I mean, like, I guess you want like a Nintendo or something, but really when you're that age, you could just give a kid a tennis ball.
Right.
He'll figure out something to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you buy him all this stuff. His kids have a ton of toys.
Yeah.
And they, I don't know what they even play with. The one really loves cars.
Yeah. But even like you go to like a thrift store. They're like just this kid's going to get bored in like 2 days anyways.
Right.
Yeah. So why are you spending all this money?
We used to get them smack hands out of the quarter machine. We'd have a blast with
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Remember those? You smack the wall with it, gets all the hair and lint all on it.
Yeah.
Talk about germs.
Still, I mean, like, think about just how much money you put into that versus how much fun you got out of it.
You know, it was funny with me. People, they'd buy me clothes, I guess, every now and then. But I never cared for clothes. You see how I dress. I'm going to start caring one day. But
yeah.
I would have I had the same South Park shirt. And I wore it like every day for a year. I'd wash it after 2 days. And I just washed it all the time. We had a washer and dryer.
Right.
I literally was that guy. I'd wear one shirt. People would be like a South Park shirt 7 days in a row.
Right.
We had school uniforms, so I didn't really need clothes.
Yeah.
I had a blue polo, a white one, and that was it.
It's weird when little kids are into clothes.
Yeah.
That is weird.
It is.
That is a weird kind of child. That's a specific kind of child you have there.
Yeah.
That's when you have like a boy who's just like into clothes.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like maybe once you're like a teenager and you're worried about girls or something, but like until a kid is like 11 years old, it really feels like that's like, yeah, you're raising like a weird kid.
Yeah. Who you trying to look good for?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. You got a job interview or something? What the fuck?
Yeah. Dude, that's so true. I always thought I was weird because I wasn't into clothes. I remember my friends, they'd be into clothes and they'd talk about the name brands.
Yeah, well, I feel like that was like right around a certain time in middle school where it's like that kind of kicks in.
Yeah.
Back to school clothes kind of stuff.
And I'm like, yo, I'm trying to get my teeth fixed.
It's like, no, he's like, I'm just trying to play with this quarter for the next 4 hours. What the fuck are you talking about?
A Tommy Hilfiger shirt.
Yeah.
I was always embarrassed because I couldn't read the brands. I'd be like, I got that Hilfiger. I got that. I remember I got a Tommy Hilfiger shirt.
Yeah.
Wore it every day. See, that's the stuff. You don't want to wear a name brand thing every day. It's like after 3 days, people would start avoiding you.
Yeah, you're in reruns.
Yeah, they're like, what's wrong with Dom?
Yeah.
Oh, how come he's in no class with us? Yeah.
What do you think? Do you see the thing is though? I think with some people, especially like if they grow up poor, like poor,
Yeah.
and then they get some money, and then they have kids. They try to like kind of compensate for it.
Living through the kids'
Where they're
eyes.
living through the kids, and that's when you end up with a kid who's like wearing way too nice clothes.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what to do. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm going to be an engineer.
Yeah.
Or, you're like, what are you talking about?
Do you think about what you're going to be like once you have a kid?
I'm going to be
Are you
going to
try to like make up for something for like you're going to try to make him dress real cool?
My kid is going to learn those types of values, like to where you got to dress nice, your clothes got to fit, you got to have your hair cut.
Yeah.
We're doing certain things, like you're getting the manicures, the pedicures. Only because, look, I cut a piece of my finger off. I had an infected toenail for 25 years. I just got it fixed.
Wow.
I'm like, I never want to, that's some things.
You're taking your kid to the nail salon, though?
Bro, yeah. Growing up, my hair was never cut, and I got like 5 barbers in the family, but it was just I always looked sloppy. It wasn't like it's just because it wasn't something that was put into us.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't part of the value.
Teeth messed up, clothes messed up.
Right.
But, the things, I'm lucky I got so many good things. I have such a good father that I feel like he did so good coming up with us that it would be, I hope I'm not one of these kids. Like, my dad didn't have a dad.
Right.
So he'll be like, oh, that's why I did so. I mean, he had a dad, but they were divorced at a young age. And I think he came around every now and then. And, they were cool. They still knew each other all their life. But, I feel like all these people that grew up without a father, they're always real good fathers. Now, I grew up with a good father. Am I going to be a shitty father now?
Skips a generation.
Yeah, I wonder how that works.
So you think about all that stuff, though, about like, oh, am I going to make my kid, he's going to cut his nails and hair and he's going to teeth. But it's like, what if that ends up being like, because you grew up to be a good guy. What if all that stuff is like, you end up raising an asshole?
Yeah.
This kid thinks he's better than everybody because he got his nails done.
That's a good point.
Yeah, right? He's showing up to school like, when'd you get your manicure? Everybody else is like, I don't get manicures. I'm a child.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you must be poor. He's going to be one of those kids.
Yeah.
Do you want to raise a kid who actually looks that good?
Yeah.
I don't know, though.
I think so. He's going to know about vitamins and nutrition.
But he's going to be a bully.
Nah.
He's going to look down on other kids who don't have these. You know how kids are. If everybody had...
Your nails all dry looking.
Yeah, right? Everybody else is just a little kid. This is the kid who shows up wearing a suit at school. And it's like, no, this is a weirdo.
Well, I mean, don't get I know I'm going to make tons of mistakes if I'm a parent, but I do also think since I'm so much older, when I have a kid, I'm going to be like 40.
Yeah.
Bro, I have so much mistakes I made already.
Right.
That I could be like, listen, you treat people right. And I make it serious with them. Like, if you see everybody, one of my biggest regrets in life is, I remember I would go with the pack of people. A follower. And that's exactly what it was. And there was this kid, my first friend I've ever made, only kid that was nice to me in kindergarten, David Green, such a nice kid. I've been trying to find him, man, just to tell him sorry. And I'd hang with the kid right now. He's cool as hell. And, some kid picked on him. So I ended up picking on him.
Wow.
And then I had a second chance to make things right in high school. And I didn't stand up for him, but I also didn't bully him.
Right.
But I could have stood up for him. I think on very low key, I was like, man, that's not cool, you guys. But I could have did more. I could have been like,
hey, you never know though. What if you did more and that's the shit that like, you got shot.
Right.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta teach your kids like you gotta pick your battles.
Yeah.
Sometimes feel the situation out. I think. I get where you're saying that like you don't want to. It would have been in your head. You could have been Rosa Parks or something.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm going to stand up, but also it's like, hey, you never know. You never know. These kids got guns these days.
And what happens if the person you had the baby with is nuts?
Yeah.
Then now you got to deal with that. You never know what she's raising the kid with. That's an important thing.
Well, it's like I feel like you got to make sure you raise your kid to not like. Do you really want your kid to like think he's better than other kids? Because some of that's what. Because sometimes you see kids who it's like, oh, this kid really. You ever meet somebody who just like clearly wants to be a hero in the situation?
Oh yeah, way too.
I mean,
much.
you see it now. These, especially with like, I mean, people in our group, and it's like you can see that this guy is trying to make up for a past mistake.
Yeah.
Where like this guy in the past, he didn't step up, so now I'm just gonna do way too much, and it's like, no, you also, this is off balance.
Or they just want the attention.
Yeah, that's all it is.
There was one kid we grew up with, and dude, he'd raise his hand like Mr. Clark from, Lean on Me when one kid was drinking.
Yeah.
Dude, this kid's drinking, and he's all right. He's just drinking, a little messed up.
Yeah.
And this kid comes in, puts his hand up. He's like, no, now hold on. You do this. He takes off his shirt. He's that guy I was telling you about. He was ripped, and he gave everybody advice on how to work out, but he didn't know. He was just ripped because he worked out all the time.
Right.
And he'd be telling people, no, you got to eat cheeseburger, fries, and milkshake. Milkshake's your protein.
Yeah.
The French fries that's your potatoes and your vitamins. And he'd be telling you, and the meat, that's to help give you energy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the dude was like, he was extremely fit. But, dude, I remember, this kid's throwing up. He's fine. He's throwing up a little from drinking. And this kid makes this big pinnacle, shoving his hand down the guy's throat. And the guy's like, trying to make him throw up.
Yeah.
Dude, just dirty, filthy fingers all in his mouth. And the kid throws up more, and, he bites the guy's finger. It was this huge thing, man.
Well, it's the thing where it's like, yeah, this guy sees the opportunity of, I'm going to be a hero right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, just relax.
And he'd bring it up.
Exactly.
They'd be 6 years later. He'd be like, well, I saved your life. And it's like, dude, he was just drunk. He wasn't even that drunk. He knew what was going on at the time. He said, get your hands out my mouth. And the dude was strong, and he's just holding him down, dude. Yeah. Shoving his and the girls were all impressed.
See, I mean, do you really want to raise a hero? I don't know. I get it, but also I feel like, I don't know, you got to raise a kid to have judgment.
Yeah.
Where it's like, pick your situation. Don't like, you don't got to be the guy every time.
I'd want my kid to read.
Yeah.
I feel like whatever you did was pretty right. Your
parents
but were good parents.
I mean, I think I'm better than everybody though. So you want to make sure you want to raise a kid who doesn't think you got to find a kid who has a balance between everybody.
But to be fair, I mean, you're a lot smarter than the average person. Dude, I talk to you. The things you do, it's so simple. It makes perfect sense. It's like, you remind me, I seen this thing with Einstein. Yeah. He only had one pair of shoes, and he goes, it's one less decision to make. That's like you.
Steve Jobs. Man.
You got one pair of shoes.
Yeah,
you bought, how many compliments you got on your shirt?
Bought an Amazon shirt.
Amazon Basics.
Yeah, right. It's like Batman.
I'll be like, you want to get a shirt off Amazon? You don't want some name brand? You'll be like, well, you know what? Do you really need name brand? You think about it, you don't.
Yeah.
Causes more problems.
See, my parents though, it's like I really feel like they really went out of their way to like, you're not better than everybody else. You know what I mean? Where it's like that's really what they wanted me to. I think that's the kind of the message they were trying to drill into me.
And
where it's like
work.
Anytime we were in like a nice neighborhood, and it's like my parents are the kind of parents where it's like, this is uncomfortable. This restaurant is too nice. These people think they're better than everybody. It's like, we gotta go to a regular restaurant. This is weird.
Do you think it messed you up later on in life? Like now your confidence is lower?
Now, well, it's like, I don't know. I don't have that. I don't know, that hero gene, I think, of like that kid who was like clearing, like everybody move out of the way. I'm going to save it. I wouldn't have been me at all.
Dude, I could never see you doing
like that. Yeah. I would have been, I don't know. I'll call somebody. You wait around. Somebody else will, figure it out. Plus, it's like that kid wasn't going to die.
Right. I feel like
you
would have said something like, well, just give him some bread and 8 ounces of water.
Get him some water, roll him on his side. He's not going to choke. He'll be fine.
Yeah, you would have had the more logical answer.
But it's like it's such a sad. Did you read the thing about the guy in the subway?
No.
Oh,
somebody choked him out.
Yeah, well, the crazy guy in the subway, and then this we see it every day. Crazy guy in the subway. Everybody's acting. New York City, you don't do anything. You just look at your phone and hope the guy goes away.
Yeah.
And then this one Marine guy happened to be on the train, 24-year-old Marine, and he just like goes up to the guy and chokes him out for 5 minutes, and he kills the guy. And it's like that Marine, I read that story, and it became this huge debate about homelessness and the mental health crisis. But it's like, I know exactly what happened there. that Marine is like, oh, this is my chance.
Yep.
Everybody
impress a girl.
Exactly. There must have been a girl there, or it must have been because there's no way that guy wasn't like waving a gun. He wasn't gonna. He was gonna yell at everybody and make people uncomfortable, and then he would have stumbled away like they always do. But there's one Marine is like, no, this is my big shot. He probably had a time in his life before that he didn't step up. Now it's like, oh, I gotta make up for it, and then he ends up fucking killing somebody.
See, that's the worry of fighting now too. Like when I had an altercation with somebody, and I'm talking about with an older comic, like this person was young, like 18, 19, and they don't know about consequence. Now I'm older. You could accidentally kill somebody. I knew a guy hit somebody. Some dude was messing with him because he was a weightlifter, and the dude was a power lifter. He was like crazy strong,
right?
And some guy was messing with him, and I met him. I seen him when he got out of prison, dude. He got sentenced to 25. He did like 15.
Wow.
Great guy. He was in the military. Straightforward, straight up great guy. And I'm pretty sure somebody hit him with a bottle and cut his eye. And he punched the guy. And he said he even held back. But he messed the guy up for life because, he didn't know. Like if I fought somebody, you hit them, they hit their head on the cement. Not to say the Marine purposely.
Well, the thing with the Marine, though, it's not like this was a sucker punch.
Right.
He choked the guy for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
After the guy was already limp.
Yeah, that's insane.
And it's like the thing is, what happens. I mean, we were talking about this before about like guys who work out because they're trying to prepare for something. Their whole motivation for like lifting weights every day is someday I'm going to be in a street fight and I want to be able to fuck somebody up. And that day never comes for a lot of these guys. You just spend every day working out, preparing for something that never happens.
Yeah.
And then you get into a situation where it's like, this is my shot. This is what it was all leading up to. And then you do way too much.
I wonder if the Marine was planning on, I'm killing this guy today. I want to see what it's like. Or if he was just like...
I think you're in a situation where it's like adrenaline kicks in. And I think it was like a Marine. I think they teach you in the Marines is how to like, it's jiu-jitsu kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you never get into a situation where you're actually choking somebody who's struggling against you.
Right.
Who's not going to tap. It's not like it's not a jiu-jitsu match. You're just choking a person.
Right.
So it's like you don't stop, and the guy just didn't think to stop, I guess.
I bet you it was over a girl or something. There was probably some girl there that he wanted to impress.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing, man. When women are a problem, bro, most of the deaths are over a woman.
You can't blame the woman. I mean, I get the point, but it's not like it's the woman's fault. It's the guy's fault for trying to think he's going to be a hero.
Most problems I've had, like I was just stopped in this bar not that long ago, Rudy's.
Yeah.
Literally did nothing. Like I'm just outside smoking, and this girl just like, I don't know, for whatever reason, she thought I talked to her at the bar. I haven't even went in yet. I was just about to go in. And so I didn't know what she's talking about. She's like, you can't just ignore me. You know who I'm with? And they're all getting riled up, these little hood rat girls. Then a dude comes outside, and he's like, yo, my dude. He's like, not for nothing, man, I'm going to shoot you. And it's like, these things follow me around everywhere.
Hey.
And I'm like, yo, this dude probably really could.
Right.
The dude's sitting there with a ski mask. I'm like, look, I don't know them. He's like, I don't give a fuck who you know.
Wow.
He's like, get out of here. And he wanted to impress those girls. Now, maybe he didn't have a gun. Maybe he did.
Right.
But it's just insane that it could happen that fast. The guy that got shot in Times Square, remember?
Yep.
It was all over a girl.
Yep.
Somebody was flirting with his girl. His girl was flirting with somebody. And then he was like, yo, this is my girl. And the dude shot him.
It's just, that's just sort of insecurity on the guy's part, though.
The testosterone when you get around men.
Yeah.
I guess really men's the problem. The guy that murdered somebody is probably more the problem.
Yeah. But I feel like, I don't know, what do you do as a parent to try to raise a kid who's not going to be, there's always balance. You got to get them into that zone where they're secure enough and confident enough that they're not going to they'll defend themselves to a point.
Yeah.
But it's also like you can just walk away to most of these situations.
I would definitely try to teach my son that. Like my father, he grew up in the streets fighting. And I told him, I said, man, I'm going to get jumped. And, that's my dad's way of living is he's like, you got to fight. There's no other option in my father's head.
Right.
Back then, till 10 years of therapy, he realized there's other things.
Yeah.
But he goes, walk up to the kid, son, and punch him and don't stop. He's like, breathe through your nose. just keep punching him. Don't quit.
Right.
And that's exactly what I did. And I beat the hell out of the kid.
He became a championship boxer.
Covered in blood, right?
Yeah.
Kid's driving away, blood, face covered in blood.
Wow.
And anyways, he ended up shooting at me multiple times for years later.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like 5 years. I'd be driving, you just hear pop, pop, pop. I'd be like, oh, keep your head down.
Right.
Here comes Alonzo. And that was his name. And then he called me. He's like, hey, man, I have a kid. I'm sorry I shot at you all the time out. He's like, I still look over my shoulder.
Wow.
But you hear those bullets, zing, zing, zing.
Yep.
And I could have easily been like hit with one. I felt one time running through a field. I've heard it and felt this shit go ving right past my head.
Wow.
And it's all from one fight over a girl.
Right.
She had like 3 boyfriends. Me and my friends, me and my buddy, we're so childish, dude. This is around the time all the Jackass stuff was going on. And we were like, just got our driver's license. And I was like, we were able to drive now.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, man, your car is at so-and-so's house. I just met him. And I was like, yeah, I've been talking to her for a couple months. I've been hanging out at her house. He's like, well, that's my girlfriend. I'm like, yo, I didn't know that's your girlfriend.
Wow.
And then, we found out, we felt like we were both being played. And then, dude, so we were like, man, fuck her. So we found out she had another boyfriend.
Wow.
This guy, Alonzo, who didn't even go to our school. He was like older, like 20-something, in mid-20s. And we're in high school. And so we went and took a shit on her porch. Like, think about how childish that is.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah. She said something about, I don't want to deal with your guys' shit. So we ended up taking a shit on our porch. It was the funniest thing in the world to us. And then we egged his car, and he was inside of it.
Wow.
It's like, yo, that did not help at all. So he wanted to fight us naturally. You do that to somebody.
Right, yeah.
And, then we ended up fighting.
But, I mean, think about it. If that was your kid, and it's like, clearly, I'm talking about the not that shitting part, but like the fighting part.
Yeah.
Where it's like, do you want to teach your son to like, there's a line where it's like you were just defending yourself and you didn't have to, you didn't have to beat the kid up that bad. But at the same time, if someone's coming at you, you want to teach a kid to he has to be able to defend himself.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like you got to find that zone though, because like kids don't know.
Right.
You also don't want the kind of kid who's going to get his ass beat all the time.
I don't know if my son's going to be able to defend himself because I'm never going to have him in the situation. You have to grow up with that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but still, you never know if that kid's going to get at school, you get bullied or something.
Yeah, nowadays in the schools I'd have him in, it wouldn't be the same. Like I went to a public school to where it was in a bad neighborhood and you had to fight. You got bullied and you got in fights.
Right, yeah.
But I don't think it'd be the same way for me. I'd like to be a little bit more successful, playing it out a little better.
Yeah, you never know though. What if you just end up, I don't know, getting another poor kid?
Yeah, life will throw a curveball.
What if you have a kid and we're in the situation we're in now? Where it's,
right.
It's not going to be a nice school.
Yeah, now listen, these are your uncles, these 5 roommates.
Yeah, right.
Why's my uncle black?
Yeah, right.
Because rent's $2,300 a month. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's not going to be a fighter.
I feel like you want to teach your kid how to fight, but you don't want him to be that good at fighting.
You get hit in the head once, 20, 30 years down the road, there's going to be a repercussion. There's the concussion, then the repercussion.
Right.
It's not worth it. I'd be like, I got hit in the head with a pipe once by a kid.
Wow.
I'm still waiting for the effects of that.
Right.
Yeah,
maybe. You never know. But it's like, I always think about this when people say like, you got to learn, if everybody people should learn how to fight because you always want to defend yourself in the street. And they always say, like, guys who really know how to fight don't want to fight. It's like, it's not an insecurity kind of thing. But I always wonder, like, what if everybody got good at fighting?
Yeah.
Think about that. Because, like, most people, you see them in, like, a street fight, they really don't know what they're doing.
Nobody knows.
They throw a lot of haymakers, and then they end up kind of in a sloppy wrestling match. But imagine a world where everybody was actually, like, a trained fighter.
Yeah.
And they were actually, like, throwing jabs.
I would definitely. Now, that's one thing I would want my son to train in that. Me being trained in boxing got me out of way more fights.
Right.
One, people knew I boxed, so they never wanted to fight me. And 2, nobody knows what they're doing. Like
right.
If I remember in school, a kid throw a punch at me, it's easy to. I'm like, dude, I moved from trained professionals.
Right.
You're some 12-year-old kid. They throw a punch like this.
Yeah.
And you just move out the way and just bink real quick. I wouldn't even fight kids. My thing was I was so fast because I only weighed like 120 pounds. And if you're boxing a lot, you work that muscle. So it's just like
it's a reflex. Mm-hmm.
And I was able to I'd smack a kid in the face. They'd be like, "You want to fight?" I'd just smack them real quick. I'd be like, "Bro, imagine what my fist would do." They'd be like, "You're right. I don't want no problems." Yeah. And I took Taekwondo good too. I would kick a kid real quick. Wow. Kick him right in the side, hard, knock the wind out of him.
See, though, you don't think that you could have ended up being a kid who... What if you ended up being a kid who really liked to fight, though?
Yeah, I mean, I always had the heart. I never wanted to hurt anybody. Yeah. Even when I kicked a kid in the stomach, I was literally just playing with him.
But I feel like, can you even control if your kid is going to be like a fighter?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, not like a real boxer trained like, athlete, but like there's some kids that just like to fight. Yeah, some people actually do enjoy violence.
The eye of the tiger. But those kids enjoy violence because of what happened to them younger on in life.
I don't know. You really think so?
Yeah, I mean, you're a role model. Like, my father was a nice guy. He had a heart, so I had a heart. You know, he is caring for people. He'd go help out somebody on the side of the road. To where some people, I see it. Like that Adam Sandler movie, O'Doyle Rules. Some people are grown up like that, you know. You're a Murphy. You understand me? Yes, Dad. Now punch him. Punch him. He's a nerd. Hit him. Right. You know.
I think some kids just are like naturally aggressive, though. You know what I mean?
Even if they went through a divorce or something.
Even if even if they grew up in like a nice place with good parents.
Well, there's
some kids are just fucked up.
There's those kids like they'll be like, "Oh, Mom, I'm not getting my phone back." Then they bust the TV. Jimmy, don't break the TV.
Yeah.
But you ever fight one of those kids, you're gonna hurt them. I knew one kid like that.
Right.
I fought this kid just because he let everybody listen to his CD player, and I wanted to listen to it. And he goes, "No, you stink," and I fought him. Wow. And the truth is, I did stink. Nobody pulled me aside to say, like, my father didn't care.
There's two sides to this story, though.
Yeah.
You got to see it from his perspective.
I never had deodorant. I smelled like BO for years.
Wow.
It's not that we didn't have the money to buy it. Nobody ever was like, "Yo, Dom, you got to start wearing deodorant."
Wow.
Remember, dude, when we grew up, parents didn't pay much attention. Like, well, they had the commercials, you know. Do you know where your kid's at?
Right.
They had that for a reason.
Yeah.
Parents were busy paying the rent.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't want your kids to smell, though.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Hygiene is an important thing.
My kid would have deodorant, haircut, ears cleaned, no tattoos. Yeah. And I'd be like, "Look, you don't want that. Trust me."
See, do you worry, though? I feel like it's almost like remember like back in the day when you like did like create a wrestler in like a video game?
Yeah.
And it's like you can give certain attributes where it's like you can go either speed, strength, control, and it's like you can add some things, but it's going to take away from some other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like you can't build the perfect kid. So it's like, are you going to put all your chips into hygiene, or are you going to put your chips into like intelligence or like actual heart? Because you can't do all three.
I think you could spread it around.
Exactly. But then you end up with a mediocre kid who like smells a little bit. And he's all right.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to have cologne. I remember I was hanging with this kid who was 9 years old, had cologne. The teacher would be like, "Oh, what is that, Mike?"
Yeah.
I remember. I'm thinking, what's this bitch care? She'd always compliment him.
Wow.
See, he was lucky. He had a brother that was a year younger than him.
Yeah.
That's double the school clothes. They'd be changing shoes. Everybody thought they were rich.
Yeah.
They even shared the same car. Like, he'd have it a few days a week, and then he'd have it, like, in high school.
Right.
They just said, "I'm going to get you guys one thing, but it's going to be good."
Wow.
You know, and they'd be switching their jackets.
But when you're that young, too, it's like there's some little details like that are all you need to, like, feel confident.
Yeah.
He could be dressed like everybody else, but he smells a little better.
And the kid was always the coolest kid in school.
Yeah. But it's like that's what you got to somehow raise.
A kid that smells good. Give him some curve.
Well, you just got to give him one thing that he's proud of.
Yeah.
Not too much, you know.
You know what's funny? I had cars. I was really into that. Kids would come over and look at my cars. They'd be like, "Bro, this is your Mustang for real?" People wouldn't even believe it.
You had like 50 cars before you were 18, right?
Yeah, I'd always be buying cars.
Yeah.
Like you said, dude, I'd knock right on people's doors. They'd think I was pranking them. I'd be like 12 years old. I'd just cut a bunch of grass, and I'd be lowballing them. "I'll give you $500. And they'd be like, "Get the hell out of here."
Wow.
And then like a week later, "Hey, I've been looking for you, so what do you think?" They'd sell me the car. You get them around the time rent's due.
Yeah.
I bought some nice cars when I was a child, man.
But that gave you like the identity in the neighborhood, right? Where it's like Dom's the car guy.
Well, the identity was, who's that weird kid always rolling around with a tire?
Yeah.
You know, like people told me years later, why were you always like laying on the garage floor? You're so weird. And it's like, they didn't know I'm fixing a car, bitch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This spark plug's not going to fix itself.
You fucking jumping rope.
Yeah. I've got a transmission to fix.
Yeah. I used to love that too, man. When I make money, I'm going to get cars again and work on them. Now I'm old enough to know how to do it. Like the body work, it's all what you put into it. I'd do that with my son. We'd rebuild a car together.
Right.
My father tried doing that with me so many times. And I'd be like, no, it's all right. I just used to hang out in there and play with it sometimes. But I wish I would have rebuilt a car with my pops.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not too late now, you know.
But I feel like that's the kind of thing where even if the kid doesn't like actually learn it, you at least kind of pick some stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like you kind of know how things work. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't know exactly how to fix it or what to do.
And how to Bondo stuff. Maybe it'll set in later on in life like it did with me. Like he showed me how to fix a car and now I could do it no problem. A few hours. If there was a hole in a car, I make that shit look mint in a few hours.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Do you think your kid's going to be good at school?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm never going to trick them with the sorcery that they tricked me with when they were like, you know, since kindergarten, first, second grade, everybody in my life, even, you know, sad to say, even my parents, they were scared that I would, you know, I don't know. They were scared to see me fail. They used to do everything for me. Like that was one thing I think ended up affecting me later. Like if it's carving a pumpkin or something, you should let your kid do that, or building a model, you know.
Right.
It's for a 10-year-old. My father would be like, well, I don't know if you should do it. You might mess it up. Wait till I get home.
Right.
And my whole life, that stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
But
right, they were like doing your homework or something?
No, not my homework, but they would tell me like, hey, you know, you're not going to be good in school. You get it from me. Sorry, son.
Oh,
you know?
Wow.
So I just automatically thought I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, the thing that really changed their mind was my sister was telling me, she goes, I can't read. And I seen her read perfectly fine, something on TV. And I'm like, well, Rach, how'd you just do that? And she's like, well, you know, the teacher said I can't read. And I remember my dad being like, listen, man, come on, chill out a little. She can't read. And I'd be like, no, Dad, I seen her do it.
Why?
And I'd be like, Rach, listen, don't, Dad, you might get mad at me. You know, I'd tell him, but you got to believe me on this. You could read, Rach. You just if you don't know what a word is, you could go online. They're going to tell you what it is and how to pronounce it. It's just, do you want to do it?
Right.
And then now she reads all the time and she loves it.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. She'll call me. She'll be like, oh, I'm reading this book right now. You know, I love the fact you got me into reading.
Wow.
It's that sorcery. See, I feel like a lot of times it could be a bad teacher. Like, I'm never going to tell my kid he's stupid. I'm going to tell my son, yo, I want you to know now I'm extremely genius in certain things. You got great genes. And I bet you he won't even know.
What if he's bad at school, though?
Well, I don't know. He'll be good at certain things.
Right, yeah. But, I mean, there's a chance he's going to be a dumb kid.
I mean, you always have that, but if you look at it, I think that's a lot of, are you taking time out to really teach them? Are we getting these math puzzles?
Right.
Are we doing flashcards? Am I using a new word around the house?
Right, yeah.
I think you could do things like that, and I'm going to do stuff like that. I never want my child to know. I want to put that learning disability like an ancient secret of the family. Yeah. Like they'll blow it off a book one day. I seen it I was over my grandmother's house. I'm going through my father's old stuff, and I seen this thing. I was in high school, and it was a letter from the kindergarten teacher about my father. Like, your son is unable to learn. And then my grandmother wrote, it's okay to hit him. That was her response.
Wow. See, what if what if your kid actually has a learning disability? Do you want him to not know? Isn't that even more fucked up?
I don't think so.
Because I mean, like, then he's just going to think it's actually like, he's not going to learn how to work around it, right?
Well, even if he knows he has it, he ain't going to learn to work around it.
Some kids do have a learning disability if it's like a legitimate thing.
Yeah, I would the thing is, they're stronger at something else.
Right.
I guarantee you, like, dude, I was in learning disabled class telling my teacher what's wrong with her car and how to fix it. Like, you know, and then, or like building a house or something.
Right.
Like the important shit in life. It's like, listen, I don't really know exactly what happened in 1743, but this problem with your drain, that's with the eye. It's clogged. It's easy to do. You know, and then the teacher's like, whose knowledge is more important? It's like, yeah, no, you need a sub pump in your basement. That's why it keeps getting wet. Did you check your sub pump? And, you know, it's my teacher in 6th grade. She
Wait
don't
a
know
minute.
that
So
shit.
in your head, are you saying that you actually were learning disabled and everybody was like telling you they're like, bringing down your self-esteem? Or were you actually, a dumb kid?
I mean, I was learning I am learning disabled. They do a
Right.
test, I guess.
Yeah,
Somehow
yeah.
they figure it out. And, but I was smart in other ways. Like, that's the thing. It's like,
But I mean, do you think there was a way that you could have been good in school?
oh, yeah. If I would have had a teacher reach me like I did later on in life, Mr. Greer. Like the teacher I had in third grade, Miss Procopio, you can't learn. I remember she just marked down an F. She wouldn't even look. She'd
Wow.
write down. And sure, she was probably right. I'm sure I got this stuff wrong. But I lost faith. But then in ninth grade, this teacher, Mr. Greer, I don't know what it was, he took a big liking to me. And this is actually a true story. He worked with me every day, and I was in full-on learning disability class, and he ended up working, except for I had one class that was his class that I'd have a tutor 3 days a week or something. And he would just tell me, hey, Dom, after class, can we talk? And I'd talk to him, and he'd be like, that's a really creative story. Like I wrote a story about how I busted my teeth out
Right.
on a bicycle wreck. And this goes back to what we were talking about before, stories.
Right.
He was like, listen, stories are your strong suit. I get that you're not that good at spelling. He'd be like, that's not really your strong suit.
Right.
He's like, luckily, spelling doesn't mean anything. He goes, if you can't spell, that doesn't matter.
Right.
Anything could show you how to spell. He goes, but being able to create a good story, that's what matters. And he's like, this is a good story. And then he's like, I don't think you're learning disabled. And we started working together. And then we had the state proficiency test. And me and two other kids passed all 5 parts out of the whole school.
So you aren't learning disabled then?
I don't know.
What the fuck is the point of the story? You're saying that you are disabled or not? Or the guy cured you?
I think that there's teachers that are so good that even if you are learning disabled,
Right.
they could still teach you. Now, maybe I might have to read a page of a book no matter what. The rest of my life, any book I read, I have to go back and remember, okay,
Right.
I got to read this. And sometimes I'll read that same page 5 times and be like, shit, I'll start getting mad at myself. I'll be like, okay, I really got to know what I'm reading now. And I'll really break it down like, okay, oh, that's what that means.
Right.
It might take me 5 times to understand what's on that one page of a book. So I think that's where some of my learning disabled comes from.
Right.
That's definitely some sort of a disability. Like, I'm sure if you read something, you'd understand it.
Right.
I could read something out loud perfectly to you, and then I won't know one clue what it's about.
Right.
I'll be like, that sentence didn't make sense. I'll have to go back and read it like a few times.
Right. So
Well,
it's just a teacher that actually doesn't try to it's more of a pacing thing.
Maybe
Lets you
I
read
think,
it, lets you learn at your own pace.
I think a good teacher makes learning fun for you, makes it interesting for the kid.
Right.
Like when you're ADD, like same thing now. When people are talking to me, sometimes I just drift off. I don't mean to. I'll have
Right.
to refocus and be like, if they start, I'll tell you what it is. And dude, I swear this is true. Like, and maybe you tell me what this means. I don't know what this is. Anytime something is getting said to me that's knowledgeable, I won't retain it. Now, if it's something like somebody telling me a story about some asshole at work, I'll listen to every word. But then when people are like, oh yeah, and by the way, when you balance a checkbook, I'm just, yeah, completely.
Wow.
What do you think that is? I don't want to learn.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, maybe sometimes someone's just explaining something that's boring.
Yeah.
If I started telling you about basketball or something, it's like, unless you're actually interested from the beginning, you're going to zone out.
I would have to work way harder to learn stuff than other kids.
Right.
Like when it came to math, I had to drill it in my head. Like with fractions, getting ready for the test. I remember he kind of told me, hey, the test is going to cover these types of things. I don't know what the order of the questions are, but if you know the subject matter.
Right.
Like one was like dividing fractions or
Right.
something. And I remember drilling that in my head all night, walking around. I'd turn it into a song, and I would just,
Right.
to where some kids could probably just learn that in 2 hours.
Right.
But I had to drill, and then I didn't retain it. I don't know how to divide a fraction to this day.
Right. In my mind, I don't know how this applies to parenting, but I really think so much of all this stuff is just confidence.
Yeah.
Where it's like whenever I'm working, like I do like tech support for a guy we know, or it's like an older guy who hires me to like help him do stuff with his phone and like do his taxes and stuff. And so much of it, I feel like whenever, especially people are dealing these days with technology, so many people have it in their head like, oh, I'm not a tech guy. So how this is gonna work, I'm not gonna get it.
Right.
So it's like, this is too hard for me. I gotta get somebody else to do it for me, or I'm just not gonna do it. All of that comes down to just your attitude approaching the situation, I think.
Yeah.
Especially with an iPhone. If you're trying to figure out how to do something on your phone, it's like, this is not built for computer engineers.
Right.
There is a solution, and once you figure out how to do it, you're going to think, oh, this is pretty easy to do. But if you go into it thinking like, oh, this is the kind of stuff that you got to be a genius to figure out, then you're starting in a bad place. You're not going to get around to it.
I used to say it for years, I don't mess with no computers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, what, the greatest invention that we have?
But it's like, it's not even like someone's asking you to like program software or to like, build a rocket ship.
Yeah.
They're just showing you how to drag a folder into another folder. And so
Yeah.
it's like, you got to have it in your head in the beginning, going in thinking, this is something that's possible to do, and it's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
And it's like if you go in thinking, oh, I'm not a math person, so however this works, I'm not going to get it. And then you go in, from the beginning, you're already not going to learn it, because you're going to think that, oh, this must mean that I'm dumb because I don't understand how this works. But it's like, these things are designed for you to learn.
Well, that's why I wouldn't want to tell my kid he's learning disabled.
Yeah.
Now, I would tell him, son, you're not going to be good at sports.
What if he is, though?
Yeah, I guess you never know.
Well, if the mother has good genes.
My girlfriend's pretty athletic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not, I was terrible at sports. I was the slowest kid on the track team.
Right.
I was basketball. I was terrible. Football, I did awful.
Yeah.
It was cool to be able to play those sports. I mean, the confidence thing you always bring up, that is so true. Like, I was just watching. Did you come across that video of Eddie Griffin explaining how the pyramids are made?
Yeah.
I believe it. I'm like, that's probably right.
Oh yeah.
Eddie Griffin has a way of explaining something. And it's just, you would just think it makes sense if the words rhyme, all of a sudden that makes sense.
Well, it's in his eyes. His
about
eyes are all bugged out and shit.
Yeah. He'll be like, and that's why they're the shape of a diamond. And then you're like, oh, shit, that makes sense. What's one thing that lasts forever? Diamonds.
Yeah.
How long have the pyramids been around? Case and point. And people are like, yeah, it's genius.
Yeah. That's all comedy is, man.
And then every now and then you get like an archaeologist on there that says a fact, and everybody's like, you're racist.
Yeah.
What, a black man can't make a point? It's like, well, I'm just saying the pyramids aren't made out of diamond.
Yeah. But it's funny, though, we think about having a kid, and it's like, how much is your kid going to be like you?
Did you get somebody pregnant?
Nah.
Okay.
I was thinking about, I had to buy my nephew a harmonica.
Oh, yeah,
I'm thinking about all this. But it's like, it's so funny because it's like, it's wrong. That's not actually how genetics work necessarily, where it's like, I'm bad at this, therefore my kid's going to be bad at this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right.
And your kid's going to grow up in a completely different world than you grew up in. They have the technology that's going to, do different, it's going to affect them in different ways.
Skips a generation.
But I think every parent, that's like kind of an ego thing. Every parent thinks their kid is somehow going to get what they had. But it's like, I think part of being a parent is raising a kid and sort of like figuring out who they are,
It's weird. Me and my brother are artists, and my parents, neither of them were artists. They're from what I know. Maybe my father was, and he's quit doing it, but my uncle Leo was an artist, my mother's brother, and I feel like I got it from him somehow.
Yeah.
But I also got uncles that are on dope real bad, so hopefully my kids don't get that from them.
Right, yeah.
One thing my father put in my head hard was about drugs. I do that with my kids. Like don't do coke, heroin.
Right.
That shit will kill you,
But also, it's like, you never know. Some people take that message and go the opposite way with it.
Yeah.
Because you can get most kids who try drugs have parents who are telling them not to do drugs, and then they end up getting that reverse the Bill Cosby reverse psychology thing.
You know what my theory about that is? You can't tell your kids not to do something that you're doing in front of them. Right. If you're smoking weed in front of your kids and you tell them don't do this, they're going to go do it. Like most people that smoke cigarettes, they started stealing them from their parents.
Yeah, but I mean, their parents weren't doing ecstasy or something. Yeah.
I mean, you never know. Some parents are just...
Some of them are, but not... I mean, a lot of kids just end up taking that message. And some kids are just they will do the opposite of what you say. So.
Yeah, but I've been in some houses where the parents were just doing blow right in front of the kids. And they're like, no, you don't do this.
Yeah.
And, and the
this is expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Where's all my baby laxative at?